Hello, Sierra. Welcome to your reading. Let me just double check one thing really quickly to make sure that I hide your, or that I secure your anonymity by making sure that your last name is not shown. Not that I don't think I would care if my first and last name was on an astrology reading, but you never know in this world, so it's better to play it safe. Okay, so now that I've hidden this information, let's go ahead and do the share screen. So we got a young one today. Oh, come on. All right, here we are. So this is your natal chart. Let me pull up my aspect grid. Okay. So your birth chart. I see lots of aspects to the moon. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about. And then no aspects to the sun. How interesting. An unaspected sun, yet a heavily aspected moon. Mercury, lots of aspects. Holy shit. Is Mercury aspected by every single planet? Can't be. No, because the sun, it doesn't, which is so weird. How is that possible? So the one, usually Mercury is like really close to the sun and aspects it, but your Mercury aspects every single planet besides your sun, which is unaspected, of course. I just said that. Wow, it like literally like this whole line, even the nodes, it's like insane. And then Venus, some conjunctions. Okay, so it's part of this Aquarius. Ooh, look at that Aquarius stellium. And then Mars opposite Saturn. You get some aspects of Mars. Could be trickier. It's not too tricky. Lots of nodal aspects too. So I mean, I don't see any squares. So I see opposition, conjunction of the south node in Taurus, or excuse me, in Saturn. All right, and then Jupiter's like aspected by everything too. So wow. All right. So what's going on with this chart? Well, we have a moon in Taurus. We have an ascendant in Aries. We have, oh wow, and your south node is conjunct my sun, just so you know. So maybe we've known each other. I don't want to sound cheesy, but like, yeah, maybe there's some type of energy with us in past life. I mean, who knows? You know, world, like there's crazier things that happened. But yeah, your south node's the exact same. It's like separated by 1 degree with my sun and my Mercury. And actually, one second. Esme. Okay. So also I want to tell you, you should message me about this. I see all your 11th house, which has to do with like groups and like friendships. Your sun's in the 11th house, right? With your Venus, your Uranus, your Jupiter, your Mercury. So message me privately. Just like tell me something like, hey, you mentioned like some type of group, and I want to talk. I'm going to talk to you about something. But it's a private. It's private, so it's not something I speak about on here. Just remind me, and I'll know what I was talking about. But basically, like this sun in the 11th house, right, in Aquarius. This is like ultimate Aquarius energy because your ascendant is Aries. I don't want to say it's like the best ascendant. Let's just say that because Aries is your ascendant, every single house, like in astrology, the first house is Aries, right? The second house is Taurus, and it goes around until it gets the last sign, Pisces, 12th house, right? There's like a link between them. So because Aries is the first sign, it means that there is a parallel between your Aries rules your first house like it's supposed to. Taurus rules your second house like it's supposed to. So it tends to give a lot of balance, or a lot of like, I don't even really know the word, but it just, things make sense. And Aries rising is also very, very rare. The two most rare are Pisces and Aries rising. And yeah, so the fact that you have this going on means that your sun is in Aquarius. It's going to fall in the house of Aquarius, which is going to make you even more Aquarius like. And let's start by talking about the relationship between sun and moon, because that's the most important part of like the psychology aspect of astrology, which I do focus a good amount on psychology and then also on karma. So okay, so sun in Aquarius, 11th house, to me that's someone who's really very idealistic, very humanitarian, really cares about the world, the planet, someone who is they're very group oriented, they're very friend oriented, but it's so important for them to find the right group of people. But because you have the two benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter, the planet of luck, the planet of beauty, in this 11th house, right? A house in astrology, it's like an arena, right? So it's like the 12 houses are 12 different arenas of life, right? 7th house is like relationships, 11th house is like friend groups, associations, like spiritual tribes. It's also about like aspirations and goals. So, and there's lots of meanings to the 11th house, right? Into every house. But with that much energy there, it's making you it's giving you a lot of luck. So you're going to have a lot of luck. But the thing is that you're going to want to, like the groups and friendships that you're going to be trying to find, and they're so pivotal to your, and you know, I heard a quote recently that basically said that when you're going in the right direction, I'm not going to do the quote, but like when you're going in the right direction in life, fate is going to align itself. It's going to align things in your life for you so that you're able to manifest the highest energy of your chart. And basically what that means is that this is a bunch of potentials, right? And there's the highest manifestation of these potentials. And if you understand that and do things, you don't have to be perfect. No one's perfect. Sometimes even struggles are part of the big picture, but you're going to, move towards it, and fate will put the right people at the right time, the right circumstances, all this and that for you to really do the best possible. So with that said, you do have a very difficult square, even though it's an elemental square between sun and moon, meaning that the energy of Aquarius, right, which is the 11th house, super group oriented, really, really looking for the people you resonate with on a heart and soul level. And a big part of your life purpose, you'll be very aspirational, and you'll have these goals they're very major goals, and they can take lots of time to develop. But yeah, very idealistic, very future oriented, and it's all about combining with other people who have the same vision as you, right? And definitely, also see some past life mysticism. South Node at 29 degrees of Pisces. That's like the last sign of the zodiac, and it's in the 12th house. So that could indicate, something to do with some kind of real karmic ending in this lifetime. Like really, really, and you're so young. You're born in 97, so that's like another indication of like a very mature soul, an old soul. Someone that has that much understanding so young. It's amazing. So with the sun here and then the moon in Taurus, well, the moon in Taurus, and how Aquariuses are. Let's talk a little bit more. It's very freedom loving. It's a little bit quirky. They like to beat to the beat of their own drum. They're not very traditional. Like if you don't give an Aquarius space, they're gonna fucking explode. And I know that firsthand because I have my Mars and my Venus there. I can't even imagine. I mean, you have, I guess, yeah, you have your Sun, your Venus, and your Mercury, and then also Jupiter and Uranus. But yeah, so they love animals. I haven't met many Aquarius that don't love animals, at least Aquarius women. They're interested in things like, things like astrology really appeal to them. Astrology is ruled by Uranus. I mean, there's a connection to Uranus / Aquarius. It's Aquarius energy, and they're interested in the future, in kind of inventions, technology, right? So I can go on and on about Aquarius, but I think you understand what your sun sign is. I would hope so. By if there's one thing anyone at any level of astrology gets, it's their sun sign, right? So you understand kind of the overall energy of how it works in your life. But then your moon, it's like the yin yang, is in Taurus in the second house where it naturally belongs. And fuck it, I need to stop sharing so you can see my face. I don't know if you were seeing my face the whole time. I always lose track of that. But anyways, so your moon is where things get really interesting and tricky, because in essence, Taurus is all about security. So Taurus moon people, they have this emotional need to have things kind of be a little bit consistent, a little bit stable. And the big thing for Taurus moons is how can you take risks? How can you move out of like what is normal, what feels good, and into something that's a little bit maybe like higher ground? Because sometimes in life, as a Taurus, so the Aquarius is always going to be, it's very rebellious too. So that side is very rebellious. It really wants to do things differently, right? It really wants to kind of like just make a decision and boom, just go with it. No matter how crazy it may sound to other people. Taurus is a lot more of a kind of conservative, traditional energy. And it's a very strong, it's an exalted moon position. So it's like you're definitely able to meet your emotional needs per se. Or if not, like find others who help you. But yeah, there's just like a strong need for stability and steady routines, like maintenance of what you kind of come into your life with. So people who have Taurus moon sometimes can like be really afraid of change. Maybe they'll like want to stay in the same place with the same people. And the whole, saying of like you have to make room, you have to let go of the old that's not serving you anymore to make room for the new. That's meant for Taurus, right? Because they can have a really hard time doing that. So yeah, and in the second house, also you have to watch out for like seeking too much emotional security through possessions. Because with the moon's always fluctuating. So in the second house, it can lead to like fluctuations and stuff like income, and like sudden changes like that. But it's all about the fact that because you are a Taurus moon, you have you're developing in this lifetime like inner resources, right? That can help you really get past any like this. Like there's a real, and I don't think you have this. There's your South nodes in Pisces and some other indicators, and like the Aquarius energy is not like so materialistic, right? But yeah, not being too attached to like it has to go this way, it has to go that way, like just letting things flow. So very practical also, but also tons of creativity. I see, tons of creativity. One of the great things for Taurus moons is like learning to be in touch with your own body, right? Whether it's through like meditation, yoga, anything like that is very, very valuable. That gets you in touch with your own kind of somatic sensations. I have like this weird like cough. It's not a cough. So we could see how there'd be a struggle between these 2 points, because on one side there's like one part that's very freedom loving, very, very like anti-tradition, like just I want to do things, I want to make my own rules in life, I don't want to listen to anyone. And another part that's kind of like and it's all, like one part's all about change, one part's all about staying the same. So I believe you I should probably check. I believe you purchased the reading with the follow-up session. So definitely take notes and remind me because I don't remember anything after I do the session. I mean, I remember it when we go back to the chart and the follow-up, but like remind me to talk about kind of that and how that plays out in your life. That's super, super important, how you deal with that, because it can feel like there's like a split personality, right? I have the same thing, just different signs, where there's one sign that wants this and one sign that wants that. And it's like, how can they agree, right? But let's see what my cat's doing. It's a three-way fight. But yeah, basically like what's interesting, let me see one thing. Yeah, so you know, one of them, like the thing, I guess for me, I would think that it would have something to do with finding the balance between those two, between security, because like the great thing about having a Taurus moon when you're an Aquarius sun is that it grounds you. So you can go through like crazy risks and crazy situations. But then like the Taurus moon people, they have this ability to really like be the same person day after day after day. That's something I respect so much. I'm so jealous of. Not like in a weird robotic way, but like they can go, like for example, they could be the kind of person that like travels around the world, like backpacking, and you know, and just that just feel that balance and that inner home within themselves. That solidity, kind of like solid rock. And Aquarius is like up in the space, it's like air, it's like up in the sky, it's like Uranus energy. So it's like good that it probably grounds you really well. So maybe it's not so difficult in that sense, but I imagine there is a theme in your life about hanging on to things and then wanting to kind of like let go and move on, and then just maybe a back and forth. I'm curious, yeah, how that plays out. So besides that, then how is your ascendant, right? In Aries, how does that, what does that do, right? So Aries ascendant people, they're very assertive. And I have to talk about all the aspects to your moon, because that's really like a lot of the stuff. But yeah, Aries, it makes your chart ruled by Mars, but your Mars is retrograde in Libra. So I guess like Aries ascendant by themselves, they grab life by the horns. Like their life is about adventure. It definitely complements your Aquarius side more, right? Because it's like a exact sextile, or not exact, it's 2 degrees away from it. It's a sextile with your Venus and elemental sextile with your sun. I feel like I should, 1 second, go back to the chart. So you see here, like when they're separated by 2 signs, like here it goes from Aquarius, Pisces, Aries. That means that there's a smooth link between them, between Aries and Aquarius. You know, they work well together because they're both masculine, go and like go energies. More Aries, but Aquarius also. You know, in astrology, we go from one sign that's active, then one sign that's passive. Active, passive. Aries active, the first sign. Taurus, the second sign, passive. Gemini, the third sign, active. Cancer, passive, right? It's just like this up and down, which reflects our life, periods of life that are like, you know, up and down, up and down. But in this case, the ascendant, you know, is very action oriented. It's very independent. It can make someone a little bit headstrong, can make someone a little bit, yeah, at the lowest, like bully energy. But because you have Saturn in the first house, close enough to your ascendant, I mean, it is 9 degrees away, but still, it's like, you know, I use whole sign, so it's first house Saturn. That would actually make someone a lot more shy, which is what I sense from you. And it could take time. Like you're not there yet. Your Saturn returns at 29 and a half years of age, 29, like that kind of span, right? Around that time. And you know, when you have Saturn in the first house, it can bring a lot of shyness and a lot of like difficulty in like expressing that Aries and letting that Aries out. So there can be some frustration, and to couple that with more frustration, you have the, you know, so Aries is ruled by Mars. So because Aries is your ascendant, the ruling planet of your ascendant, which is a very important planet in each one individual's chart, is Mars. And Mars is in detriment in Libra, right? I wish I had an easier button to stop sharing. So, 1 second, let me get one thing out. But basically, like Mars in detriment in Libra, in retrograde, right? So Mars in detriment in Libra means that the sign that Mars works the best in is Aries, and the opposite sign of Aries is Libra, and that's where your Mars is. So, and it's in retrograde too. So that's gonna make someone who's very, let's see what the aspects are. Opposite Saturn, trine Jupiter, trine Uranus. Okay, so the energy's trying to get you to go, and it's conjunct the North Node. So there's some big karma with your Aries, with your Mars, and what it's trying to get you. So basically, when your Mars is in Libra, you can be very indecisive, always balancing out options. It can bring tons of tension because you're like, you have this big power within you of like, I want to do it, but like the Saturn there, it'll like I said, it's gonna get a lot easier. It doesn't have to take till your Saturn return until the 30s, but there can be lots of frustrations with anything related to Saturn until the Saturn return. And so it's opposite your Mars, right? And then Mars is retrograde and it's conjunct the North Node. So a big part of your karma is overcoming this part of your chart, right? Because it's linked to your North Node, even though they're in different signs. And what it's saying to me, so the Mars in Libra by itself, it's can be kind of wishy-washy energy. I think of the person who's like very indecisive, and then they just end up doing nothing, because they're like, I fucking can't decide. Sometimes there can be some major people-pleasing issues within the 7th house also of relationships, right? So okay, yeah. So it's in the house of relationships. So you have to watch out when you have Mars in the 7th house, because there's definitely a strong drive like towards intimate relationships. But then when you get there, that's probably where that Taurus and Aquarius energy comes out, because there's like a real drive, there's like part of you that wants to be independent, part of you that wants to be kind of grounded and rooted in the relationship. But I would think that more of you would want to be independent. But then when it's in Libra, it's very hard for you to speak your mind, because you have the potential for people pleasing. You don't want to upset the partner, right? So what can happen there is that it can be difficult with the Saturn placement here for you to have your own voice, for you to feel powerful within yourself, and there can be self-esteem issues. So with Mars in retrograde, natally, only like 7% of the population or something have that. And basically what that means is that in past lives, you either underused or overused your Mars like function, right? And the Mars function is about action and moving, like action and assertiveness, right? So imagine someone in a past life, because it's in your past life tendency, South Node is in Pisces, it's telling me that's probably under action, right? So this life, your Mars retrograde, that energy pushes your actions more within, and your sense of assertiveness, your sense of like that leftover animal instinct are more introverted to where you spend like the first, I don't know, probably till your Saturn return around then, 30 years of your life, really thinking about like, like maybe like being more indecisive with actions. And it totally goes with the other placement. So I'm finding my notes here. So it shifts the outward thrust of energy characteristic of Mars and directs it inward. So you tend to expend a lot of energy reliving internally your past experiences. And because you're constantly in the past, you may inflict past life roles upon the people in your present life environment. So there's a strong tendency to place priority upon fulfilling your spiritual desires, resulting in neglect of the physical body's needs. So an intentional focus on holistic growth is needed. Sexual experiences can be less fulfilling because your energy is turned inward. However, sex that is deeply rooted in love between two partners and that strives for a mutual spiritual orgasm can be a much more natural expression of Mars retrograde. So what is the karma with Mars retrograde? It indicates that your actions tend to be an effort to recreate situations from your prior lifetimes. You may expend energy in attempting to find people in the present who can symbolize those who fulfilled you in the past. You may try to act out all that you could not express in your prior lifetimes. You may overreact when your efforts fail to produce your desired results. This overreaction can result in coming on too strongly, only to have people pull back. So I'm curious what you make of that. And one other thing I'm looking for. Yeah. Well, no. Okay. I want to find one other thing. So we see how that's coupled, right, with like all these other energies in your chart. So when it's Mars opposite Saturn, that, by the way, tons of famous, successful people have that placement. Just want to let you know. But it makes it so they have to really overcome lots of restrictions in terms of like, imagine Mars is like that party that just wants to move forward, just wants to just get there, right? And when Saturn's opposing it, there's forces, whether it's like your father, whether it's whatever it might be in your life that can just get in the way and make it feel like there's like some like force that's just like trying to like mess with you and trying to pull you back. I always say it's like this is your path in life, and it's like this boulder keeps getting thrown in front of your path that you have to like climb over. But then when you get to like your the Saturn return, more mature or that slash like just more maturity, but yeah, more the Saturn return. And I don't want to make you think that it's not going to change until then. Like your free will can change things so much, right? So just know that. But also, you have to know that a lot of the fate will become a lot easier. The fated events and all the things that can come in and improve the situation will come around the time of the Saturn return. I'm trying to find one thing. Give me just 1 second. Okay, here it is. Okay, so let's read a little bit more about Mars retrograde. Oh shit. Okay, if you were born during Mars retrograde, you may grapple with issues relating to energy, drive, ambition, autonomy, leadership, and manifestation. This shifts the outward thrust of energy that are characteristic of Mars and directs them inward. So you will tend to expend a lot of energy reliving internally your past experiences because is this exactly what I just read? Yeah, this is exactly what I just read. So yeah, you may overreact when your efforts fail to produce your desired actions. Overreaction can result in coming on too strongly. Yeah, so it's almost like there's like this past life, like things that you weren't able to fulfill in the past life, action wise. So getting past the people pleasing is a huge part of it, and like understanding that all the restrictions that come up in your life, like they're not unbeatable. The first step is seeing them for what they are, karmic restrictions, not bad luck or not anything that like is meant for you to feel shame about. It's just things that come up that make life a little bit harder, right? But the whole whole key is to just persevere, right? And like I told you, you have no idea how many celebrity charts, not celebrity, just successful people's charts. I see Mars opposite or Mars square or Mars conjunct Saturn. So besides that, I want to say something else. So you could see how like a big part of your chart is about finding that Aries power, but it's just like there's that firepower, right? Because Aries is it's the first sign, it's the dominant, it's the warrior, right? The warrior energy. But when it's pushed behind Saturn, and then the planet that rules it, Mars, right, is in Libra in retrograde, you may have a lot of time finding this. So how can you find this karmic, that assertiveness, your power? Definitely creative outlets, physical, like pushing yourself to exercise and to do stuff that pushes your limits physically. That's awesome. But a big part of your chart is service, is being of service. I'm not saying like, I mean, you're so young, you're probably still deciding or actually how young are you? You're in your mid-20s, right? Early mid-20s. Yeah, so you're not that young. Pretty young. But yeah, so with your north node and south node the way they are, it's really talking about how in this life, like service is always featured, right? For you. But in this life, you're trying to get out of like a past life habit of kind of being a little bit of like the over dreamer who maybe doesn't get enough things done, right? Shown by this Mars. And this life with the north node, in sixth house in Virgo, it's like how can you be of like actual physical service, and how can you ground yourself, because that can be hard, right? Is with all the Aquarius energy, and find routines, right? Whether it's health, diet, all the little things that like are very monish, or like very, very human, because you are probably very like alien in your energy, feeling like very, very psychic, and we'll see what with all your moon aspects what's going on in a sec. And maybe just like different, right? Not in a bad way. It's actually a very good thing in my opinion. But with this placement here, it's about finding like very like pragmatic ways you can be of service, and instead of and not just being like a dreamer kind of. So what else can I say about that? Yeah, so it's like in this life, it's about learning responsibility and taking action, and taking risks, right? Because the Taurus moon also can like make you like not want to risk doing something, because it can risk losing this like real comfort, right? So yeah, also letting go of the desire to escape into the fantasy world. When things don't go wrong, there can be a tendency to just like escape into fantasy. It's all about like learning how to be productive in the actual physical, but like always, of course, linking the spiritual to the physical. The spiritual is a huge part of your life. You're bringing into this life major like past life mystical powers with the south node, south node 29 degrees freaking Pisces. So yeah, definitely overcoming the tendency to daydream, and also to feel like overwhelmed. Like there can be this feeling of feeling overwhelmed when like you're so compassionate, so much empathy, and you see all the horrible things happening in the world, and just be overwhelmed and just like kind of escape the world, So it's just about like being strong in that sense of like oneness, and just understanding that like there's good, there's bad, it's all God, everything is God, right? But that's a very advanced kind of realization to have, and I know I didn't have it at your age, so I mean, I don't know, but like just most people who are like in their 70s or 60s or older, like 50s, whatever, 80s, like they don't have that understanding, you know. But yeah, it's about like putting all this compassion, this intuition, this wisdom, this mysticism into practical use for the good of humanity. That's like a big part of your mission. And yeah, so then the fact that Saturn's conjunct your south node in the first house, like, yeah, I talked about like the reticence towards like self-expression early in life, or usually till, you know, it gets easier, right? Even after this reading, it might get easier, right? Because it gives like more awareness to it. But yeah, it also makes one very reliable and somewhat cautious. So that's good. But then the fact that South Node's conjunct, you know, I think a more opposite North Node conjunct South Node, I think it helps you in the sense that it gives some like, well, when South Node's conjunct a planet, that planet is a planet that featured a lot in a past life, right? It featured a lot. So when it's Saturn, that's like being an authority figure, right? And it's not squaring, so it doesn't. It's not like a bad thing. But in this life, it's like, how can you? And it's the opposition, right? So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So it makes me think that there's definitely some karma with like perhaps your father. Look for one thing. And or you know, whatever, like there could be like lots of like family karma that family karma may kind of like pull you back in a sense, or like be part of that whole thing I was talking about. Some water. Because yeah, it only happens once every 12 years that you know, Saturn and the South Node are together. So it's not every day you see this. But also, like, you know, when there's a planet conjunct the South Node, it also can like really talk about like a potential course of downfall, right? Because the South Node is like a lot of been there, done that energy. Like if someone has Sun conjunct a South Node, it can be like attachment to ego, can like really be like a risk. So with Saturn, it's about a life with very little material attachment. And yeah, kind of like very, very yogic in that sense, right? Like about holding special wisdom, right? And yeah, being able to like really discover high philosophical truths, which is your South Node, you know, South Node, like kind of being able to plug back into your past lives, like even if it's just like through your dreams, through your intuitions, and relive and refine that wisdom that guided you, right? So let's see what else I can see. So living without in unattached awareness, in denial of the effect of Saturn conjunct the South Node, can lead to a life of clamoring for material gain and doubt. In Western culture, we're extremely dependent on faultily constructed systems and structures. If you have Saturn conjunct the South Node, these forms will crumble and dissolve in your life quite frequently. So like it's saying like the material aspects of your life, the structures, the physical structures will crumble, kind of pushing you towards deeper spirituality, which your moon in the second house talks about that, like up and down in terms of money potentially, right? So yeah, they crumble and dissolve in your life quite frequently and with the ease of a blade dropped through the soft butter. It's as though you are trapped in an ever-repeating game of Jenga. At some point, you should notice this pattern and set your path to a more harmonious life. Truthfully, within the system of a society that is growth-obsessed, death-phobic, and denies all concepts of limit, completely out of the tune with Saturn and the South Node, no amount of perseverance will keep your downfall from meeting you again and again. So this is the most burdensome and Sisyphean way to pay your karmic debt back. And unfortunately, it becomes a very common loop for people with Saturn conjunct the South Node. So it's a very important duty. At their best, they live like venerable vultures, here to purify polluted Saturn energies. Okay. That said, to be born this age in a dominating culture, so nearly done, overrun by pollution across all dimensions, a Saturn conjunct the South Node is not nearly as smooth or beautiful as being a vulture. This person says she loves vultures. A vulture riding the drifts. You're surrounded by toxic manifestations of Saturn, and you have an inborn predilection for Saturnian careers such as constructing / building, agriculture, and large companies. Remember, synergizing Saturn in the South Node does not mean running away from these systems and structures. Rather, it is your absolute duty to practice alternative approaches that are earth-friendly and life-affirming, even when you see very little material return from this. And it is a responsibility that you are especially equipped to handle. You can step into a channel of divine Saturn and ride the wave. Remember, not all traditions and institutions are exploitative. Learning from Earth's few intact indigenous cultures, I totally see that, or studying those which have moved on can be extremely potent pathway for you. An extremely potent pathway. So interesting there, what their take on that. Okay. So okay, with the moon. So moon square Mercury, that's a difficult one because it kind of puts your emotions at odds with your thoughts and your logic. So you might be someone who really needs to process your emotions verbally, and as well, you also like process information through forming an emotional relationship with it. It can also create like a high, like the best way to think of it is like the moon is the heart, Mercury is the brain. So it can create lots of tension between those two, right? And it just goes once again with that Aquarius Taurus square, because this is another Aquarius energy, a lot of Aquarius energy. So the mind is Aquarian, and so it has to do with like the mind and the way of talking and all these things, the brain wanting that Aquarius energy, and then the emotion and just the emotions kind of pulling back and not wanting to give that. So there can be communication problems with partners. What else? Yeah, but in the end, it can create like a very ingenious person, though. I gotta say, and I gotta say also that Aquarius is like the sign of the genius, the person that thinks differently. But yeah, like anything you feel strongly about or have an opinion on is like subject to this indecisiveness, which is also with your Mars Libra, right? In questionings. Like so, like you might be like really open to like sharing your mind, expressing yourself, but the message received by the other person, like in a relationship, can be less thoughtful and caring. Or not what am I saying? But like the message, like you may mean well, but then it can come out wrong, right? Like when you like it can, basically it's like difficulty speaking your emotions, getting what's here out, and there can be like miscommunications that way. So moon square Uranus and Neptune, that's massive, right? The closest one is okay, and then Jupiter too. So Uranus is closer than, I guess Neptune's only 3 degrees away. So yeah, Neptune's actually the closest. Neptune and Mercury, they're all really close. So moon square Neptune, I know this one very well. Basically sponge for energy, even though you don't have any water in your chart, by the way, which typically would be someone that like has trouble tuning into their intuition, has trouble. I think it's because you probably already mastered the water in past lives. because like you have the high water mystic south node in Pisces. So, but yeah, in this life, so the fact when you have that square, it makes you so sensitive, such a sponge for energy that you often need to spend time alone because you can like take in too much of the energy of the collective suffering and the people around you's like especially energy vampires. You have to watch out so much for them. And that's another thing I have to warn you about with your 7th house Mars in Libra retrograde. You have to watch out. Like the big thing for you is one of the biggest things is like when you're in like not allowing energy vampire people in relationships with you. Hey Mika. Speaking of the opposite of energy vampire. Mika. What message do you have for me about the chart? Come here. Sit in my lap, Mika. Give me your superpowers. Okay. Anyways. So, yeah, just like it's so important too with people that have this aspect, how their mother nurtured them, because you know, the moon is the mother. So especially like early on. So if like you're very, very like you took in subtle energies like from like more than other people. So if you have like a very like someone that has this aspect who had like a very rough upbringing, they can sometimes like really have that affect them in adult life. And it can be to the point where they may play victim. There can be like escapist tendencies. And if their mom, and they may even mimic and like take what's their mom's as theirs. Like, so let's say the mom was like, had all these emotional issues. The person with this aspect might inherit those to an extreme extent, excuse me. And then it's not until like adult life that they realize that's not my stuff, that's my mom's, right? So yeah, that's really important. Definitely want to know about that. But yeah, you can be very psychic, like telepathy, psychic abilities, like where you can like feel other people's energy and know their thoughts and stuff. So the key, you know, expressing emotions is difficult. It can be difficult because there can be lots of fogs. Mika, get your food. She's trying to steal my food. That's why she came and tried to seduce me. Bad cat. Mika, don't go over there. Stay here. What was I saying? So yeah, expressing your emotions is the key to this. Oh my God, Mika. And also like sharing with people your quote unquote suffering, you know, like when you're going through tough times, because there can be, you know, with the shyness that we see in the chart, one like special technique when you have this that can kind of overrun it is because Neptune rules mirrors, cameras, screens, stuff like that. So practicing like talking or doing whatever in front of like, even if you're never going to show anyone, in front of a webcam, in front of a mirror, whatever it is. Mika, get out of my food. What is your deal, dude? I'm going to put you in my room right now. 1 second. Actually, Mika, I'll give you one more chance. Don't steal my food. I know you want to play with your friends. 1 second. Actually, go in my room, Mika. Get this one over here now. So yeah, that's kind of with that energy. And yeah, just being able to like be open is so important. And that's why like finding that like different like groups that like really understand your uniqueness. And I think spirituality is a great thing for you because it helps you understand these energies more. These are tough energies, especially when you're young. But what they do is that they push you towards healing, or they push you towards spiritual practices or whatever it is, right? That's maybe you grow up faster than other people because of different events or whatever. Okay, so then Moon square Uranus, right? So this can give like such a compulsive like need for stimulation where you're always looking for like the new emotionally makes someone who like has this. Are you gonna go for my food again, Mika? This is an Aries right now, by the way. So I've said no 5 times. I'm literally watching her, and she's putting her. Okay, now you get locked, Mika. I gave you 3 warnings, maybe 4. See, that's a good metaphor of what Aries energy is. It's bold. It just doesn't give a fuck. It just goes, you know? I told her no a million times. It just goes. That's like what it is. And that's like kind of like in your chart, like what's trying to be open is just that energy that just goes. But there's the Saturn, there's different energies, the retrograde, the karma that holds you back. So yeah, with the Uranus, you know, it can create like a life where there's so much change, there's peculiar events. You'll be a very exciting person, you know. There can be some eccentric behaviors, very rebellious, and you know, I think the Moon square Uranus just it can make someone a little bit like shaky, like it can definitely create some level of like how do I say, just like instability, I guess, at times. So it's like it makes the need for grounding even more important, which is like I think your moon, even though it's squaring here, you better not come for my food now, third cat. Yeah, so what else can I say? Definitely relationships are like the battleground for this one. And how they can show up there. Oh my God. I had to put another cat in my room. I think I'm going to just put all 3 of them. Thanks. You come here too. You're the last one standing, Felix. Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, in relationships, it can kind of show itself where it's like too much of a need for freedom, you know, too much of a need for which I totally had that too. But like, you know, it just makes it difficult to have those conversations. You have to just figure out the perfect kind of relationship, someone who's willing to really listen and someone who's willing to really like, you know, get to know you and your kinks and the things that make you different, the things that make you unique, and who really loves them, you know? So yeah. And you have Venus and Aquarius, same degree, or yeah, like literally like right where my Venus is. So we have a very similar love language. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so more, you know, you have so many squares here. Opposite Chiron too. So that speaks, you know, it's no like surprise that you're doing. You have T square with Chiron, Moon, and Neptune / Mercury. It shoots out like over here, 5th house. I guess it would be with Mercury. So it's like when you can figure out how to communicate, right? How to like really like communicate, like channel your communicative skills into some kind of creative outlet, even if that creative outlet isn't making you money, even if you're like writing a song or doing some type of art that doesn't get any views, that you don't even want to show to anyone. Like I have a book of poetry. I haven't written any in a long time, but like I was going through a period of life where I was really like writing a lot of poetry. And you know, I have a book. I don't think I showed it to anyone, you know, I mean, very few people. But like the point is, like, I did that for me, you know, and that was part of my spiritual growth when I was really going through that expansive spiritual period. Because in life, I think, like, I don't know, just my opinion. 1 sec. I have to let my third cat. I'm just gonna. I can't move the computer. I can still talk to you though. But I think, you know, in spiritual life, we go through periods. Go, Felix. Go join your friends. He got codependent and he wanted to join the 2 other cats. But yeah, we go through periods like we're like spiritual expansion, and then kind of like not like down necessarily, but we're kind of like taking in and integrating like what we learned. And maybe some people are different. That's how it's been for me. Maybe some people are just like always fucking growing spiritually, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so the T squared shoots out over here. Like one could say it's in the 5th house if you use a T square with Mercury, and in the 4th house if it's used with Neptune. I would use it with Mercury because that's the elements. They're in the fixed. So yeah, it would be in Leo. And basically what that's saying is that the way to fix kind of the tough energy here, which can, amount to emotional pain, a mix of confusion and not being able to express the emotions in the best way possible, is 5th house Leo. And what is 5th house Leo? That's the pure essence of inner child, self-expression, everything I was just saying. Letting go of anything, just expressing yourself. And Aquarius are so good at not giving a fuck, So it's like finding whatever that is for you. I don't care what it is, but like you should like have like a daily thing where you're like, okay, what did I do to fulfill my physical? And if you don't do it every day, it's fine. Fuck perfectionism, just like this is just would be my advice to a chart like this at some point, right? And then like, what did I do to like fulfill my creative thing? Or maybe it's like you write like a journal each week or something, right? Because that totally goes in line with the 6th house North Node, which is like your destiny, right? Destiny marker in the chart. So it's like, what did I do to fulfill myself spiritually? What did I do to fulfill myself physically, right? Like if it's like exercising, whatever it is, yoga, who knows? Emotionally, like I don't know, therapist or talk to a friend or did this or that. And just like all these different categories, creatively, all these. So that's super important. In Leo 5th house, yeah, it's just pure fun expression. Having fun, being yourself and creating. So moving on, Moon square Jupiter, that's just like someone who can be like emotionally overly expansive emotionally. But like they might put too much of their chips in one cup, take too big of risks. And yeah. And then let's see. So yeah, and then the Venus one is out of range, I would say. Just out of range. Yeah. So 1 second. Yeah, so the Uranian, back to the Uranian one, it's like it can make relationships hard because there can be this really like this energy of like I'm like on with the, like done with the past, like let's move on, move forward. And then it can kind of make it difficult to, to stay in things unless you're super like have like a massive like intellectual, energetic connection to them. And when there's tons of freedom within relationships, right? So yeah, it's big thing for you, like learning like compromise, and having these things in relationships, commitment, shared decision making, but at the same time, like you're gonna always have the need for your freedom, and also just like learning like to have that high Libra energy in relationships is like relationships that are equal and there's balance and there's all of these like very like fairness, stuff like that. So that's really important. Yeah. So yeah, the moon opposite Chiron, I touched on it briefly. I mean, it's just showing that you have emotional pain, like there's emotional pain that's triggered from the external environment. So with all these said, your very aspect of the moon, these can all turn into superpowers. They do. That's the point of them. And when you do that, you become someone who can be like a very like, I don't want to just say like spiritual like person or like spiritual teacher or psychologist or someone who's just super in touch with their inner emotions, you know, and who has the powers of Neptune and Uranus that to receive downloads, to receive like intuitions, right? From who knows where, when you're able to calm the mind, and yeah, who can be like a healer for other people. So it's very beautiful. Okay, so then Mercury. This one is also like lots of aspects. You know, Mercury in Aquarius, it's a very unconventional interest, and your friends are super important to you, and you'll really want to like have like groups of friends you can share in associations and just groups in general you can share all your thoughts with and communicate a lot with. Also study groups, joining a group with common beliefs. So that's what I talked about before. And yeah, with Aquarius, it makes just very, very original ideas. Someone who just has like very, very like unique idea and ways of thinking. And they love exchanging with other people. And a very inventive thinker that like rebels against tradition. And you know, conjunct Venus, that adds a lot of, or wait. Yeah, it's conjunct. Let's go one by one. So conjunct Jupiter, that's a beautiful placement. That gives you this wide perspective. It's like you're like on the top of like a castle and you're able to look like through everything and like have that zoomed out perspective of like all reality to your mind. So like Jupiter conjunct, it gives tons of very good, great for intelligence, very philosophical. It makes you very philosophical and able to see the big picture. And also like great for teaching, and also lots of luck in your acquisition of knowledge and of wisdom. You have luck of meeting the right people, right? So then Uranus there conjunct also is another energy of just brimming originality. Like what else can I say? Like that, your mind conjunct Uranus, that's like literally psychic abilities. I'm just gonna tell you potential. Like once you tap, if you've tapped into it, I don't know if you have, you haven't. It's literally like the ability to get these, especially when you're like in meditation, calm. You'll get these downloads, like thunder strikes that just hit you, and you're like, whoa, how do I know what I just know? Right? Like how do I know? How do I know what I just like learned somehow? You know, it's really, really interesting. And it's going to make you this very, you know, ingenious thinker that thinks outside the box and that has the ability to question everything. And the Jupiter will give you this real like guardian angel when it comes to your mind. So it's very special mind, very special brain and way of thinking. Then finally Venus, yeah, once again, very fortunate. Like it gives your way of speaking lots of sweetness to your voice, and it also complements your, you know, your thoughts and your what, you know, it's a very good, you know, Venus, just whatever it touches, it makes it more sweet, it makes it more nice, makes it more soft. So you can be very persuasive and in a good way, not in a manipulative way, and have the real ability to kind of be like a sweetheart, especially within the groups of people, right? And also like, you know, in the 11th house, like, yeah, so you could be like the one that like attracts many different friends, many different friend groups. Maybe you take on the peacemaking role within groups. But also Aquarius energy, I have to say, can be the outsider sometimes, right? Because they can sometimes not feel like they fit in with that thing I just said. That can also be like a thing with Aquarius, is that they feel so different than other people. So Venus in Aquarius, you know, one sec, did I miss out on any? Yeah, I did. Okay. So you can also be like a very powerful researcher, like that has like tons of conviction to your the way, like your voice and the way you express yourself and the way you can like research, like whenever you find something you're interested in, you can just go a million miles per hour into it, which is a superpower of Pluto conjunct Mercury. I don't know how these. The hell is this? I keep scratching myself there. I don't know why. So yeah, so then Mercury square Chiron, that tends to be someone who, in your case, maybe was so original, so unique, so maybe smarter than their teachers. I don't know. I don't want to pump you up, but like in that way, but like, you know, like maybe like your very like anti-traditional ways offended people, maybe like really, like I know I had something like that with like this one really annoying teacher. Like it happens that teachers can be jealous of kids, you know, like seriously. Or people in the early environment who just like saw your way of thinking as being different and then try to shut you down, and maybe gave you some insecurities around how smart you thought you were, which you're very, very smart, but maybe you got like the inherent idea that like, because your way of thinking is more abstract, more different, that you weren't smart just because like maybe, I don't know, like, yeah, it's just original. So confusing originality for not being smart just because you don't fit into the box that society is trying to get you to fit into. Just a potential. So okay, so Venus in Aquarius, so like love language stuff. So obviously like the moon, you know, it's in Taurus and Juno's in Taurus. Let's start with that. So that's going to make you want, you know, moon sign, some level of safety within relationships, some level of like of knowing like, okay, this person is, you know, I know that this person is going to be the same person day after day after day, right? And then Juno, you know, in Taurus, you know, it's also very sensual, right? So Taurus loves to be very, very close, and that's another part of that square between Sun and Moon, between Aquarius and Taurus. Which, by the way, you have way more points in the Aquarius camp. So Aquarius probably dominates Taurus. Aquarius likes to be far and distant. Taurus likes to be super, super close and sensual, and with all the senses, touching and stuff like that, right? So yeah, but in love language, you know, with Juno and Taurus, Juno represents like your ideal partner. So Juno and Taurus, like really liking to feel safe and secure in your relationships, wanting a very reliable partner, stable, and you know, also in the second house, there can be like a value of like material security in relationships, and yeah, so yeah, just like really feeling grounded with the relationship. But then, so that's only part one. So then that's the necessity, like the ground, right? That root, the foundation of the skyscraper, right? The, you know, the foundation of the house or whatever building. I say this in so many readings, but it's so true. That's kind of how it is for you in relationships, is that you want that firm foundation built on trust and loyalty and all these things. But then the fact that you have Mars and Venus trine, both in air signs, that is speaking to you needing a very specific type of lover who's like your best friend, not just the lover, but is also your best friend. With the Mars, you'll search for someone where there's that level, you know, where there's that fairness, like no toxic BS, like where there's that fairness, that stability, right? And with Venus in Aquarius, which I have, by the way, you're very unconventional. Like you'll seek out kind of like odd partners, odd relationships. Like you don't give a shit about social standing, about how rich someone is or what culture they're from. In fact, you may even go more towards the people that are like odd. There's one person that said something, like if there's one Venus sign that is going to like be dating someone like who, let's say, like is like in a wheelchair, or like who has like something where they're like they can't like really walk or something like that, it would be a Venus and Aquarius person, because they have such a love and a connection for the mind, and their main thing is like the connection of the mind, and they want people who are willing to hear out all of their theories and all of their thoughts about reality and their ideals, their ideas, all these things that are these kinks that they have, you know. The Aquarian, like that's why I love Aquarius so much, is that they are so cool with being that they're unapologetically themselves, right? While a lot of other energies like try so hard to fit into the narrative of like what's cool or whatever, you know. So excellent. One what else can I say about Venus and Aquarius? Oh yeah, duh. Well, I already kind of said this, but like just like a massive, massive need for space and freedom in relationships. So it's like, even if you love someone to death, you still might, I don't know. I've known Aquarius people who like to sleep. Like I'll share it. I have, well, actually, I don't really count because I have like an actual like issue with like sensory deficit disorder. So I hear things and then movements. I basically I can't really sleep with other people, or else I just get no sleep. Like the smallest thing wakes me up. But like even without that, even in like, you know, I'm in a relationship now, like I need space, you know? I need space. If I don't get it, I feel like I go crazy. Because Aquarius, you see, I'm filling in more and more information about what Aquarius is. It's about individualism, right? It's about within the groups, like how like it's existing within the group, but also having this real sense of like individuality and finding yourself. And being that person, that unconventional, like that's that separate entity that's still part of the bigger picture, but that, you know, is different. That's why Aquarius people have like Aquarius rising, or Aquarius people will have like purple hair, or like wear crazy colors, you know, or like tattoo their face, stuff like that, right? So that's really, really important. What else was I gonna say? So yeah, the freedom is space and relationships is so important. So the big thing is like being able to communicate those needs. And it's not going to be every day that you meet someone that's compatible with you. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of it, right? So it's just understanding that. And Venus, you know, it has some very fortunate aspects. Conjunct Jupiter, one of the best aspects in astrology that gives someone tons of popularity and, you know, the real ability to really, really, really do great. When it comes to like being in any kind of group, or, you know, even if it's like for work or for something you're doing for your dharma, right? For like your life purpose, or if it's more social. Okay. I'll let the cats out for a second because I don't want them to get fur all over my sleeping quarters. Let's see how they are. Come on, Felix. Okay. So Jupiter is also in the 11th house. That you know, it's obvious. Jupiter 11th house people, it's like this. Well, it's in Aquarius. Let's start with that. So that's going to give you like a real advantage when it comes to anything new, anything inspirational, any kind of technology, any kind of like anything that falls under the you know, the umbrella of Aquarian stuff, astrology, humanitarianism. You know, like it's going to make someone very humanitarian, very like you know, have like very like kind of racially inclusive and values like linked to like equality and giving people freedoms, kind of like libertarian type energy, right? And they'll really want to, you know, fight for the, you know, the rights of people to have their own freedoms and all that stuff. Now, when it's in the 11th house, that is just like the ultimate energy. So perfect example, I know someone that has this. They move from city to city, and they always just have so much luck with meeting new friends. You know, it's like they have this ever widening circle of friends, and it's like they have so much luck. They can just go from this place to this place to this place, different countries and stuff, and then like they just meet friends. They just get lucky, or lucky. But that's Jupiter. That's what Jupiter's doing. Hey, Mika, don't steal my food again. I know you're a good girl. And also, you can be very inspirational to groups of people and just in general. So that's that. What have I not touched on? Stay, Mika, stay. Mika, what's your message for this chart? The Black Moon, Lilith, and Leo. That's like an energy you have to watch out for. And you know, you can imagine it's not like an energy that exists within you, but it's an energy you have to watch out for. It's kind of like the low the low energy, right? So it's like when you're at your lowest, this energy can emerge. So Black Moon Lilith and Leo, to me, and it's in the 5th house, it can be like kind of more like selfishness, and like when you believe that like you're the one that's giving and getting little in return, but in some ways it can be like the opposite. And also it can just be about like wanting to be in the spotlight too much, and yeah, just being a little bit selfish, potentially, right? That's kind of what I think of when I think of like the lower side of Leo, is like, you know, how Leos can be, and you don't have any Leo in your chart, so that's just like the Black Moon Lilith position. Let me go to this one thing I always talk about in my readings, because it breaks down each Black Moon Lilith to a fear of a specific thing. So with Leo, fear of change goes perfectly with the Taurus moon. So this represents the ego, and the position they achieved is so important to them because their own ego and self-esteem is linked to it. So integration comes from understanding that change is growth. Maybe you can't always be the leader, but it's fine. Yeah, that one is very, very Leo South Node or Black Moon Lilith. Maybe sometimes you can't take maybe sometimes you can take second place and bring other people up. By doing so, you will actually feel great about yourself. So, yeah. Okay. So Vertex is another relationship one. It's like the doorway to higher awareness. So it's right by your Mars in the 7th house, literally like glued to it. And it's basically saying that your doorway to higher awareness is through, you know, like these fair relationships, right? Through, and also like the Vertex, I think of it as like your second ascendant. Like it's like this, the ascendant of how you appear when you're in relationships, if that makes sense. So to have in Libra, you'll appear as very fair. You'll appear as, oh my God, you catch like flying, I swear. Go Mika, go get them. Go be security. Yeah, be very fair, be you know, it's very romantic, very like peaceful energy and love. And yeah, in the 7th house, it's just like your doorway to higher awareness is through these sometimes intense but like pleasant, like it's like a balance between intense with Mars there, and pleasant with Libra relationships that are aimed towards being pleasant but not passive aggressive. That's one thing you have to watch out for. Okay. Also, like I think it's important to link like your romantic relationships and your friendships. Like you might be someone that like does well, like meeting someone who, or dating someone who like is in, I don't know, like in a group that you're in, or like believes in like a similar cause, something like that, right? So Chiron 8th house, that could have to do with like sexual inadequacy, feeling like there's like some kind of pain around sexuality. And in Scorpio, that says the same thing. Like there can be like deep pain that can surface within deep and intimate relationships. Mika, my food again, really. Stop it, Mika. Like put my food right next to me. So there could also be with Chiron Scorpio like pre-birth trauma. But like it's Scorpio, so it's like whatever did happen, it prompts you and pushes you into delving deep into the mysteries of life, death, birth, sexuality, metaphysics, right? And you can also become like a spiritual healer of sorts, like energetic healer, who knows? Cats are crazy. So then in the 8th house, yeah, it's like also makes you very sensitive to the undercurrents of the world and of other people. And yeah, it's like can make you a very intuitive healer, someone that heals through their intuition, through, you know, some energy work, or maybe like something psychology, who knows? Definitely could see that. Okay, I want to talk about Pluto last. So midheaven, and you know, ruled by Saturn and Capricorn. Typically, you know, wanting to really be respected and have authority in your career. You know, you'll work really, really hard. And I think things in your career will really, really open up. Like you have to just keep, Fedix, get away from my food. You have to keep just working your ass off, even if there's setbacks. Because all the work you put in, when your Saturn return arrives, there's going to be this moment where you're going to basically just be like, it's almost like when you go to a restaurant, right? You have to pay the check. So there'll be this link. Okay, I'm trying to like put this metaphor into words. Basically, when your Saturn return comes, the amount of hard work and belief and resilience you've had will be either paid back. Like that's when you're gonna like check out. You know, that's when your checkout will be, right? So if you've like really put in the work, you're gonna get real great karmic repayment for that. That's what I'm saying. But you know, it's a strong midheaven to have it in you know, with Saturn in your first house. So there's a link between your being able to unlock the fire, unlock the areas within you, unlock, you know, the shyness and the communication stuff, and the career success. Neptune in the 10th house also, that could indicate like some type of career through where you're of service through your profession. Typically that's what I see. There can be like a sense of loss surrounding whatever life decision you choose. And you may even like be required to like do some, like make some kind of sacrifice. But yeah, lots of times like for your career in some type of way, like some people that have this, they'll like, oh, I could have like made so much money, but like I chose this like karmic career as like a healer or something, right? But ultimately you're trying to experience oneness in that high spiritual energy within your career. You can see all my cats, I guess. You stay, Fedix. Stay, you thief. Okay. So I think we pretty much, yeah, Uranus, 11th house, you know, that's going to bring very eccentric friends, eccentric groups of people. And it's very, very, that's kind of why I'm inviting you to potentially be a part of this group I have. And I talked about the South. Okay, I talked about this. Jesus. Anyways, all right, so that's pretty much it. Or we have two more things: part of fortune and Pluto. Part of fortune in the 3rd house. And make sure you take notes of all these. Lots of people watch it over 2-3 times. I don't know how many, and really, you know, get notes. The follow-up session is where we put everything together. We put your experience with what I'm saying here together. So part of fortune in 3rd house in Gemini. Ooh, so that's like basically saying that like when you're maybe writing or maybe like communicating your truth, that's where you're finding lots of like fulfillment. And yeah, like living in the present, like really communicating with people around you, finding new ways to communicate. That's really, really amazing for you. Now, also let me do my fixed stars. I didn't see anything. Okay. None there. And none there. So let's try this list. Standard. Oh my God, what are they doing? Yo, chill. God damn. Sounds like they're like dying. Hey, Felix. Jesus Christ. I don't know what they're doing. If they're acting, it's the weirdest thing. They act like they hate each other. Mika, my cat, acts like she's like being murdered. And then they're like nice to each other, kind of. It's so fucking weird. I think it's a game. Mika's a double Scorpio Aries, though. So it's like she is dramatic. And he's an actual Scorpio. Okay. Well, I'll leave him in my room. I should have never taken them out. I should have left them in there the whole time. That was my big mistake. The hour they go crazy. Okay, so I'm searching for fixed stars, conjunct any planets, and I'm not really seeing anything. Most of your planets are in Aquarius. So yeah, not much. Let's try one more list. No, nothing I see. Nothing I see. Okay, and this one just has so many. I can't even see like what these even are, and still none. So yeah. Or what's this one? All right, well that's fine. So anyways, Pluto in the 9th house, basically like that just gives someone like a profound, powerful drive to discover the meaning of life. So it's no like it's a beautiful compliment. Let me get my Pluto book. It's a perfect compliment to this whole reading, right? Because like obviously we can see that you're on this like big karmic like quest for truth, for figuring like you probably are not satisfied. One second, you find this book. You're probably not satisfied with the status quo, what you're taught at school, what people around you know. And at your age to already like be, maybe you do come from like also, one thing I didn't mention at the start of the reading, I forgot to mention your sun, your moon, and then I'll get back to Pluto. Is that typically when there's a square between the sun and moon, it typically means that not necessarily the parents are divorced. I mean, my parents are divorced and I have this square, but there's some disagreement. Like if you have to like sum up like what your mom is all about and what your dad is all about, like in one paragraph, there'd be a large tension and difference between the two, typically. So just want to put that out there. And so Pluto in the 9th house. Actually, one quick second. Okay, I just had to pause so I go grab something. But anyways, so Pluto in the 9th house. So Pluto. So the North Node I already explained is like the destiny mark, right? It's like where you haven't been in past lives and where you're trying to go, right? We explained that that's in Virgo. I already gave you all the information about that earlier. Now Pluto is different. It's similar because they're both like by following your Pluto, by understanding what house it's in, the aspects it makes, right? If any, which in your case, not really. What just happened? Any big aspects, no squares. You should be thankful. I don't have any either. At least squares to inner planets. Let's see here. Let's go back to my thing. But basically, it's like, think of it like it's your shadow work, right? So you'll see in the explanation like what it's really asking you for, and it's like in this way, that's like how you can affect your life and your soul the greatest. But you have to go through some real trials and tribulations and like some like real surrender, So the ninth house is very, very philosophical. And it's in Sagittarius too, but everyone, you don't really look at the Pluto sign that much. I tend not to, because it stays. I mean, yeah, like if you're comparing like different generations of people, it makes a lot of sense, right? But that's not like the kind of astrology that I have. I still haven't like really looked so far into our planet signs and how they affect the personal psychology. So I stick with the houses. It doesn't mean it doesn't have an effect, like, because like everyone born within like a between a 12 and 32 year period, it depends on which sign, can have the same Pluto sign. I'm not sure how long the Pluto and Sag is. But yeah, it's really like the generation experiences the need to transform their religious views to incorporate all philosophies and religions, and like really like looking for like new, like for truth. It's a very truth seeking. So Pluto ninth house, like, yeah, so it's like powerful drive to discover the higher meanings in life. You have to look out for becoming dogmatic in your personal philosophies, because you're going to spend so much time trying to find them and try to figure them out, like what you're doing now. That you can also become like obsessed with like study, traveling metaphorically, or traveling through like books and learning different philosophies, or actually traveling physically. So here it is, Pluto in the ninth house, and this is how I'm going to end this reading. The evolutionary goal is to understand themselves within the context of the greater cosmos through philosophy, travel, various faiths, and metaphysical studies. They may incarnate in various. This is so interesting. I love this part. They may incarnate in various cultures within many different time periods to learn these lessons, which can make them feel less belonging to their country's culture and more with ones encountered when traveling. I totally relate to that, even though I don't have this placement, but it's so interesting. They can have, so interesting too, this is gonna make you want to travel so bad. They can have past life recall / memories when they're like traveling in different cultures. So if you ever are interested in I do a reading called astrocartography, which is like the astrology of how you have different hot spots, different cold spots astrologically in the world. It's a different reading I do, completely different. I don't know if you've seen like how there's like a map, and then there's like these lines, and these lines represent the planets, and they go over different places. So yeah, but yes, this is really, really interesting. So it can lead to a problematic sense of cultural alienation from the prevailing worldview, and one can feel like they are rootless and endlessly traveling / intellectually traveling. So the search for meaning / personal and universal truth is a big archetype of it. So the search for meaning / personal and universal truth. And the polarity point, which is kind of like how you heal it, is in Gemini. So that tells us to not become dogmatic, that there are multiple truths, and different people in different places can approach this in different ways, right? Like there's a saying that a therapist of mine told me a long time ago. There's many different highways to get to Los Angeles. I forget, it was 5 or 6 different highways to get to Los Angeles from Orange County. Basically, it doesn't matter how many there are. The whole thing is that like Los Angeles, like there's different paths to get to God. There's different, like you can be a musician and not ever meditate or never do astrology. There's one through just love and just like living your life. It's not like just because you do this kind of studies. This is just to teach their own. Is kind of what this teaches, right? And that everyone because when you're starting to learn this stuff and really get into the truths, like we talked about, like Lemuria, Atlantis, and all these interesting things in my group the other day, and I've been doing this for years, so it's not new to me. But like when it was new, I felt like I really wanted everyone to know, and all my family, all my close friends, like, oh my God, I'm learning the most interesting stuff. Like you guys need to learn it too. And I would kind of push it on them. And I realized after a while that that's just not how it's meant to go. People are meant to learn at their own pace, because that's like really the ego that's trying to be like, what I know is the most important, So it's like there's just like being okay with every astrologer, every person ahead of their time has to at some point accept that they're not going to be understood. And especially by the more average the person, the more misunderstood they're going to be. So yeah. Yeah, so I said that. So this can lead to a loner more interested in finding their place in the cosmos than security, which is such a great way to wrap up this reading, because what does that remind us of? It reminds us of the square between Aquarius and Taurus. So yeah, think about all this, how it all connects. Lots of, your chart is heavy. I mean, it's heavy in the sense of like, I mean, I didn't even see all this. Like, then there's even like the South Node, which is trine Pluto, sextile Neptune. South Node ruler is Neptune, so it's trine itself. So that's just like more mystical powers. Pluto, you know, like is involved too. So there's that whole you know, past life thing I just read is heavily linked to your karma too, of you know, traveling metaphorically and physically and really and doing all that stuff I just talked about. And yeah, and all the others I touched on. So there's a lot. It's a very interesting chart. Also, you have Venus. I see sextile your ascendant. That's very good for attractiveness. Very good for having like a very strong aura that attracts in different ways. Very good for the body too. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Lots of info. Let me know about the follow-up, and we will touch on everything. So I hope you have a good day / night, and I hope that this finds you well, and that you enjoyed the reading. All right, ciao.